The strange room at the academy dorm was always noisy, filled with laughter, arguments, and the sound of doors slamming. Students came from every corner of the galaxy, but even in this mix, humans usually stayed with humans, and aliens stayed. With aliens, it was simple, safe, and predictable. But one evening, a human boy named Ryan opened the door to his new room, and everything changed. At first, he thought it was a mistake. A tall figure stood by the window, her skin faintly glowing. In the dim light, her hair falling in smooth strands that shimmered like silver under the lamp. She turned, and he saw her eyes strange, bright, and alien. The academy had given him a roommate. But not a human one. The alien girl blinked at him, silent, for a long moment. Her expression was unreadable, almost cold. And then she spoke in a quiet voice, "You are my roommate." Her accent was heavy, her words carefully chosen, but they struck Ryan like a thunderbolt. He nodded, still confused. "Yeah, I guess so." The academy's rules were clear. Mistakes rarely happened. So why had they placed a human boy with an alien girl? He could already imagine the whispers outside the door, the stares in the cafeteria, the rumors spreading like wildfire. He was just an ordinary boy, but now he had been thrown into something much bigger. The alien girl moved with slow grace, as if every step carried weight. She unpacked her things quietly, strange crystals, folded robes of colors Ryan had never seen before, and a small carved stone that she placed carefully by her bed. He tried not to stare, but his curiosity burned inside him. Finally, he asked, "What's your name?" She hesitated, as if unsure whether to answer. Then, softly, she said, "Liara." The name lingered in the air, strange but beautiful. Ryan introduced himself, but she only gave a brief nod, as if names were not important. The first night was quiet, but the tension in the room was sharp. Ryan lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Listening to Liara's slow, steady breathing, he couldn't relax. Not when he knew the academy had never allowed this kind of arrangement before. It felt like he was part of some secret experiment, and he didn't know whether to feel lucky or trapped. The next day, whispers followed him through the halls. Is it true? A human boy and an alien girl in the same room. They say it's dangerous. Her kind doesn't like humans. Ryan pretended not to hear. But the words cut into him. He wondered what Liara thought, but she stayed silent, always walking a few steps behind him. Her gaze lowered that night. As Ryan returned from class, he found her sitting cross-legged on the floor. Eyes closed, the carved stone glowing faintly in front of her. She was chanting in a language he could not understand, her voice low, like a hum that touched the walls. For a moment, he felt he should leave, but then her eyes snapped open, locking on him. The glow faded instantly. "Oh." And she said nothing, only turning away. Ryan felt his skin crawl. There was something. She wasn't telling him, something hidden behind those glowing eyes and cold silences. He wanted to ask, but every time he opened his mouth, the words died on his tongue. And yet, deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. The academy might have called it a mistake, but Ryan felt the truth in his bones. This was no mistake at all. Something was coming. Something strange and dangerous. And it had begun the moment Liara became his roommate. The unwanted discovery. Days passed slowly, and Ryan thought maybe things would settle down. Liara spoke little, always keeping her distance, moving like a shadow in the room. She ate quietly, cleaned her side of the space with perfect order, and never touched his belongings. It felt less like living with a roommate and more like sharing space with a ghost. But one night, everything changed. Ryan had just finished showering, steam clinging to his skin as he stepped back into the room. He thought Liara was still outside at the study hall. So he didn't bother to hurry. He dropped his towel on the chair, stretching, trying to shake the day's tension from his muscles. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Liara stepped inside, her glowing eyes catching the dim light for a heartbeat. The world froze. Ryan stood there completely exposed, and she froze in place like a statue, her alien pupils widened. Glowing brighter than ever, she did not scream, she did not turn away. Instead, she looked at him with a strange, unreadable expression, her lips parting as if to speak, but no words came. Ryan panicked, grabbing the towel and stumbling backward. His heart pounding. I thought you weren't here," he blurted out, his face red. Liara did not move. Her gaze locked on him as if she was seeing more than just skin, as if she was witnessing something sacred, something forbidden, finally. In a trembling whisper, she said, "You should not have let me see this." Ryan felt the weight of her words. Though he didn't understand them, he wrapped the towel tighter, unsure whether to apologize or shout, but before he could speak, she turned sharply and rushed out the door. Leaving the room in silence, the sound of her footsteps echoed down the hall. Fading like a ghost in the night, for the rest of the evening, she did not return. Ryan lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling, confusion twisting his thoughts. Why had she reacted like that? Why did she look at him as if a terrible secret had been revealed? He couldn't shake the memory of her glowing eyes, filled not with anger, but with fear and something else, something deeper. When Liara finally came back, it was past midnight. She kept her head low, her steps light, and without a word, she climbed into her bed and pulled the blanket over her head. Ryan turned to ask, but the silence between them felt heavier than any answer. He decided to wait, but sleep did not come easily that night. The next morning, whispers filled the halls. Louder than before. "Did you hear? The alien girl ran out of the dorm last night. Something happened between them." "I'm sure of it." Ryan clenched his fists, wishing the rumors would stop, but he could feel every eye on him. And every time he looked at Liara, she avoided his gaze, her cheeks faintly glowing with a strange blush. That evening, as Ryan entered the room, he caught Liara whispering into a small communicator. He only heard a few words in her alien language before she noticed him. She quickly shut the device and hid it under her blanket. Her hands trembled, and her eyes avoided his. Something was happening, something he was not meant to know. Ryan realized with a sinking feeling that the accident had triggered more than just embarrassment. It had awakened some hidden law, some ancient custom buried in her culture. Liara's silence was not shame, it was fear. Fear of what would come next, and Ryan, though still confused, understood one thing clearly the moment she saw him naked. Their lives had crossed into dangerous territory, an accident to him, but to her it meant something far greater, something that would soon change both of their fates forever. The alien reaction. Ryan woke the next morning to silence. Liara's bed was empty, her blanket folded neatly, her carved stone already gone from the desk. It looked like she had never even slept there. For a moment, he thought maybe she had moved out. Maybe the academy realized their mistake and reassigned her. But when he walked into class, he saw her sitting in the back row, her eyes fixed on the screen. She did not look at him, not even once. Usually, she would at least nod when they crossed paths, but now it was as if he was invisible. Her face was calm, almost cold, but Ryan could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her hands curled into fists under the desk. The accident from last night haunted him. He wanted to laugh it off, say it was nothing. But the way she had whispered those words, "You should not have let me see this," echoed in his mind. Why had she reacted like it was a crime? Why did she look at him with fear instead of simple embarrassment? By lunch, the rumors had grown louder, to students past him in the hallway, whispering, "I heard she saw him naked. Do you think she reported him?" Another voice hissed, "In her culture, that means something dangerous. He might be in trouble." Ryan's chest tightened. He didn't even know her customs, but clearly everyone else had some idea. That night in their dorm, the silence between them was unbearable. Liara sat at her desk, writing symbols into a glowing tablet. Her back straight, her head never turning his way. Ryan tried to focus on his own work, but his eyes kept drifting toward her. Finally, he whispered, "Liara, can we talk?" She froze, her pen pausing in midair. For a long moment, she did not move. Then, without turning, she said in a low voice, "Talking will only make it worse." Ryan frowned. Worse? How? It was just a mistake. Her shoulders trembled, and then she whispered, "Not in my world." Those words sent a chill down his spine. He wanted to ask more, but before he could, she stood and walked out, the door sliding shut behind her. The room felt empty, colder without her. Ryan sank onto his bed, confusion heavy in his chest. The next few days grew stranger. Liara avoided him completely, leaving early and returning late. When they were in the same space, she kept her head down, her face hidden. But Ryan noticed something else whenever she thought he wasn't watching. She looked at him, her glowing eyes filled with emotions she quickly buried. One evening, he caught her standing by the window, staring at the stars. Her voice was soft when she thought he couldn't hear. "It has begun," she whispered too. Herself, her tone both fearful and resigned. Ryan's heart pounded. What had begun? The next day, he decided to search for answers in the Academy library. He pulled up records about her species. The Illyrians, most of the files were restricted. But one fragment of a cultural guide explained a custom to the Illyrians: the body was sacred. To see another unclothed was not just exposure. It meant an unbreakable bond, a tie stronger than family or law. Ryan's blood ran cold, so that was it. One accident. And by her people's law, they were already bound. When he returned to the dorm, Liara was waiting. Standing in the center of the room, her glowing eyes locked on him, her voice was calm but sharp. "You should have stayed away from the records." Ryan swallowed hard, realizing she somehow knew Liara. He said carefully, "I don't understand all of this, but I didn't mean to hurt you." Her expression softened for just a heartbeat. But then she turned away, whispering, intent, "Does not matter. The bond is already made." Ryan felt the world tilt around him. He thought she was just his strange, quiet roommate, but now he understood. The accident had tied their fates together, whether he liked it or not, and outside their door, rumors spread like fire. The academy buzzed with curiosity, and whispers grew into warnings. The other students were not wrong. Something dangerous was coming. And Ryan realized with dread that Liara's reaction was only the beginning. The ancient custom, the library words, did not leave Ryan's mind. An accident, a simple mistake. Yet to the Illyrians, it was no mistake at all. It was binding. It was final. It was a vow without speaking. He wanted to believe the records were wrong. But Liara's eyes had told him the truth before he even read the files. That night, when he returned to the dorm, Liara was already there. She sat cross-legged on the floor, the carved stone glowing faintly in front of her, her hands pressed together in a ritual pose, her eyes lifted to his as soon as he entered. Sharp and unreadable. "You searched," she said, her voice calm, not angry, but certain. Ryan nodded slowly. "I had to." "You wouldn't tell me," she sighed, her breath trembling. "Because knowing changes everything." Her fingers traced the glowing stone, and Ryan noticed strange symbols shining across its surface. She spoke again, her tone almost like a chant. "Among my people, the body is sacred. Its unveiling is not casual. To see one without intention means fate has tied you. It is an ancient law older than our clans." Ryan's heart pounded. "But it was an accident. I didn't know." Her eyes softened, sadness flickering there. Accident or not, the bond exists. The law does not ask what you intended, it only asks what has been done. Ryan sat heavily on his bed, his thoughts racing. So, what happens now? He whispered. Liara lowered her gaze. The bond cannot be ignored. My clan will find out. When they do, they will come. They will demand an answer. The words sent a chill down his spine. He thought of the whispers at the academy, of the way. Other students looked at him with a mix of pity and fear. They already seemed to know what he had just learned, that this was not just between him and Liara. It was about her people, her traditions, her honor, that week. Strange things began to happen. Liara received messages on her communicator. Each time her face growing paler, her hands trembling as she closed the device. When Ryan asked, she only said, "It is nothing." But he knew it was not. The stone on her desk glowed brighter each night, and sometimes he heard whispers in her language when she thought he was asleep. Finally, one evening, she spoke without him asking. My people, believe the one who sees must either accept the bond or deny it. She said softly, her eyes locked on the glowing stone. If you accept, you protect me, and I belong to you in their eyes. If you deny, they will take me back, and you will face their wrath. Ryan stared at her, shocked wrath. For an accident, Liara shook her head. To them, it is not an accident. To them, you touched something sacred. And they will not forgive carelessness. The air between them grew heavy. Ryan looked at her, at the fear in her glowing eyes. At the way her voice trembled, though she tried to sound strong for the first time. He understood the weight she had been carrying since that night. She was not only scared of him, she was scared of her people, of what they would do. The academy halls buzzed louder now. Students whispered that Illyrian envoys were coming. Some even claimed they had already landed near the city. Ryan felt the stairs growing sharper, like invisible daggers following him wherever he walked. He wasn't just the human boy with an alien roommate anymore. He was the boy tangled in alien law. That night, Liara stood by the window, the stars reflecting in her glowing eyes. When they arrive, they will ask you only once, she whispered. You must choose quickly. There will be no second chance. Ryan's mouth went dry. And if I refuse? If I walk away? Liara turned to him, and in her eyes he saw both sorrow and fear. If you walk away, I will be taken, and you. You may not live to tell the story. The words struck him harder than any rumor, harder than any whisper. For the first time, Ryan realized this wasn't just a cultural misunderstanding. This was survival, and the choice, whether he wanted it or not, was racing toward him faster than he could breathe. The clan's demand the academy grew restless. Rumors spread faster than fire in dry grass. Students whispered in every corner, eyes following Ryan wherever he went. He could feel it. Everyone knew something was about to happen one evening. The air changed. The academy's alert sirens echoed through the halls. Sharp and urgent, Ryan rushed to the balcony with the others and saw 3 alien ships hovering above the landing zone. Their metal dark and shining under the moons. The crest on their hulls matched the carved stone Liara always kept close. Her clan had arrived. Ryan turned to her, his heart hammering. Liara stood still, her glowing eyes fixed on the ships, her hands clenched tightly at her sides. She whispered something in her language, too soft for him to understand, but her voice carried both fear and sorrow. They are here, she finally said, her voice shaking. By nightfall, the clan envoys entered the academy. They were tall, armored, their faces marked with glowing patterns, their steps heavy like thunder. The head envoy, his presence larger than the rest, demanded to see the human who had broken the sacred veil. Ryan's chest tightened as he realized they meant him. The dorm doors opened with a hiss. The envoy stood there, his eyes like burning suns. "You are the one called Ryan?" he asked, his voice deep, every word cutting through the air. Ryan nodded slowly, his throat dry. "Yes." He managed to whisper. The envoy's gaze flicked to Liara, then back to him. "Our laws are clear," he said, his tone sharp. "She has seen what should never be seen. The bond has been formed. Now you must answer." "Human." Ryan swallowed hard. "Answer what?" The envoy's voice boomed. "Do you claim her, or do you reject her?" The words slammed into Ryan like a storm. "Claim her." Reject her. How could he choose something so heavy with just one breath? He glanced at Liara, her face pale, her eyes shimmering like glass about to break. She looked away, her hands trembling. "If I claim her," Ryan asked carefully, "what happens?" The envoy's eyes glowed brighter. "She becomes yours, her fate tied to your life. Your survival, your choices, your blood. You protect her, and you stand against any who would harm her. She belongs to you, and you belong to her." Ryan's chest tightened at the weight of those words. "And if I reject her?" he whispered. The envoy's face hardened like stone. "Then she returns to us, dishonored, broken, and you will face the punishment of our ancestors, death, for violating what is sacred." The room grew silent. Ryan felt every eye on him, waiting for his choice. Lyra's lips parted as if she wanted to speak, but she said nothing, her whole body tense with fear. Ryan's thoughts screamed, this wasn't fair. He hadn't asked for this. It was an accident. But accidents meant nothing here. The envoy took a step closer, his shadow falling across Ryan. "You must decide now," he commanded, his voice like thunder. Ryan's breath caught in his throat, his mind racing. He wanted to run, to scream, to fight. But instead, his eyes fell on Liara again, her trembling hands, her silent tears glimmering in the light. Something inside him shifted. Maybe it was anger at being forced. Maybe it was pity for her fear. Or maybe it was something deeper, something he couldn't name yet, but he straightened his back, his voice steady, though his heart pounded like war drums. "I will not abandon her," Ryan said, his words cutting through the silence. The envoy's eyes narrowed. Then slowly he nodded. "So be it," he said, his tone almost like approval, almost like a challenge. The other envoys murmured in their language, some in disbelief, some in respect. Lyra's eyes widened, tears spilling, her lips trembling as she whispered only one word. "Why?" Ryan turned to her, his chest tight. "Because I won't let them take you," he whispered back. The envoy raised a hand, signaling to the others. "Then you must prove it," he declared, his voice echoing through the dorm. "You will face the trial of courage. Only then will the bond be sealed." The silence broke with gasps from every corner. Ryan's fate was no longer just words. It was now a trial, a test against alien law. Liara looked at him with a mix of hope and fear. And Ryan realized that this choice had already pulled him into a storm he could not escape. *, the human's dilemma. Words trial of courage echoed in Ryan's head long after the envoys left. He sat on his bed, staring at the floor, his heart heavy with a weight he had never carried before. Liara sat silently across the room, her hands folded tightly on her lap, her glowing eyes fixed on the ground. The air between them was thick, filled with unspoken fear. Ryan finally broke the silence. "What is the trial? What are they going to make me do?" Liara hesitated, her lips pressing together before she answered. "It is different for each who faces it," she whispered. "The trial tests the heart, not just the body. They will see if you are worthy to protect what you claim." Her voice trembled as she added, "Most who are not of our people do not survive it." The words struck him like a blade. His mind screamed to walk away, to refuse to tell the envoys their law was not his law. But when he looked at Lyra, her trembling fingers, her pale face, he knew he couldn't. Something inside him had already decided, even if his mind still fought against it, the next day. Students avoided him in the halls. Some whispered that he was already a dead man. Others looked at him with pity, as though they were watching someone walking. To his own grave, Ryan clenched his fists, anger mixing with fear. Was this how it had to end? A mistake turned into a death sentence. He went to the academy courtyard, trying to clear his head. A group of human students stopped him. One of them speaking harshly. "You should walk away, Ryan. No human can pass their trials. You'll die." For her, and for what? An alien law that isn't even yours. Ryan wanted to argue, but the words cut deep. Why was he doing this? For honor? For pity? For Lyra? That night, back in the dorm, he finally asked her, "Why didn't you stop them? Why didn't you tell them it was an accident? You could have said something." Lyra's eyes filled with pain, her voice barely a whisper. "Because it would not matter. The law is older than my people, older than the clans themselves. No one questions it." She looked at him then, really looked, her eyes shimmering. "I never wanted this for you, Ryan. You could still deny me. You could still walk away." Ryan shook his head, his chest tightening. "You know what happens if I do? They'll take you back. And worse, they'll kill me. So either way, I can't just walk away." Lyra's lips trembled, but she stayed silent, tears slipping down her cheeks. Her silence hurt more than any words could. Ryan lay awake long into the night, his thoughts pulling him in two directions. One voice inside screamed at him to run, to save his own life, to escape while he still could. But another voice whispered that walking away would haunt him forever. He thought of Lyra's fear, of the way her eyes softened when he stood for her. Maybe this wasn't just about surviving. Maybe it was about something more. The following morning, the envoys returned, their heavy footsteps echoing down the corridor. The leader's voice boomed. "Tomorrow at dawn, the trial begins. Prepare yourself, human." Ryan's chest tightened. Tomorrow, his fate would be sealed. Lyra stood behind the envoy, her head bowed. Her lips pressed tight to hold back her words, but her eyes betrayed her fear. Sorrow and something else, a desperate hope. After they left, Ryan sat in silence, his hands shaking. Lyra stepped closer for the first time in days, her voice low. "If you fail, they will not only take your life, they will take mine too. They will say the bond was cursed." Ryan looked at her, shocked. "Then why don't you tell them to stop? You don't want this." Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, and her whisper carried a strange strength, "Because maybe I do." Ryan froze, her words sinking deep. She turned away quickly, hiding her face, but the truth had slipped out, and for the first time. Ryan wondered if the trial wasn't just about survival. Maybe it was about something far greater, something that neither of them could admit yet.